Welcome back to Reagan University 302, the Harlem Renaissance office hours. And by the end of this course, you should be able to answer our capstone question, which is, to what extent did the Harlem Renaissance succeed and fail as a strategy for Black freedom? And today we'll walk through the Unit 2 reflection questions. And if you can answer all of these reflection questions from Unit 2 and every other unit clearly, you should have the foundation for your capstone answer. Let's jump in. Lecture 5's reflection question was, when culture is deliberately used as a vehicle for racial advancement, who gains the authority to define its purpose? And how does class and power decide what kinds of Black expression are considered legitimate? My answer was, once culture becomes a strategy, it becomes tied to economic survival. Authority shifts to those who control access: editors, publishers, patrons, and elite leadership. Even liberation required approval. Class and color shaped what counted as good representation. Respectable, refined work was elevated, while expression seen as too rural, sexual, queer, or confrontational was often filtered out. Culture was no longer just expression, it was curated, and whoever controlled the curation controlled the culture. Lecture 6. How did a cultural movement born in a segregated neighborhood at the top of Manhattan become a global story? My answer: Harlem became global not just because it was brilliant, but because it was strategically positioned inside Manhattan, the publishing and media capital of the United States. Black newspapers circulated locally, while white-owned publishing houses distributed nationally. Nightlife drew white elites uptown who carried Harlem back into their networks. Harlem was segregated, but not isolated. It was embedded in infrastructure. Lecture 7. Does culture have power without economic progress? And when culture becomes commodified, even for survival, does it lose its meaning? My answer was, culture absolutely has symbolic power. The Harlem Renaissance reshaped how Black life was imagined. It created new aesthetics, new intellectual frameworks, and new pride. But symbolic power is not material change. Economic control largely remained outside of Black hands, so visibility did not guarantee ownership or institutional power. Commodification alone isn't the issue. Artists had to survive. The real question is, who controls the profit and who absorbs the risk? The Harlem Renaissance shows that culture can shift perception, but without economic progress, it struggles to shift power. Lecture 8. If culture cannot circulate without systems and systems hold power, how should we interpret artistic success during the Harlem Renaissance? Whose legacy, in your opinion, do you believe was most effectively preserved by those cultural gatekeeping structures? My answer was, success was never purely merit-based. It was shaped and filtered through publishers, patrons, and institutions. This doesn't diminish talent, but it reminds us that visibility is structured, and legacies aligned with respectability were more easily preserved than those with radical voices. When we look at who is most widely remembered, we're seeing not just brilliance, but which artists fit the systems of preserving them. A reminder that preservation is political. In my view, Langston Hughes and Duke Ellington have among the strongest preserved legacies, often positioned as the faces of the Harlem Renaissance because their sanitized images translated well across institutional platforms. And those are all my answers. Unit 2 has shown us that the Harlem Renaissance was not just about art, it was about power. Who defines it and who funds it? Who circulates it and who preserves it? As we move towards our capstone lecture, keep asking who ultimately controls the terms of success. This is our office hours. It is over. I'm hoping you guys are enjoying this casual setting, and I'll see you next unit.